Hello everyone. Welcome back to Real Life Channel. May God bless you all. Can you think of a time when life felt impossible to handle? Life can feel overwhelming sometimes. Uncertainties, failures, and setbacks can leave us questioning everything, even our faith. But here's the good news. In the midst of the chaos, there's hope. In today's video, we're talking about trusting God, what it means, why it's important, and how it can transform your life, even when it feels like He's silent. So, if you've ever struggled with doubt or wondered if God's timing is worth waiting for, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Life can be overwhelming at times. The weight of uncertainty, the fear of failure, the pain of loss, it all feels like too much to bear. But in the midst of it all, there's one constant, one refuge, one source of unshakable hope: God. Today, let's take a moment to reflect on what it truly means to trust God, especially when it feels like God is doing nothing. Why trusting God is important. Trusting God isn't always easy. When life is uncertain, when doors close, when the path forward seems unclear, doubt creeps in. We start asking, God, are you really there? Do you care about what I'm going through? But trusting God means believing that His plans for you are greater than you can imagine, even when you can't see them clearly. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Have you ever tried to figure things out on your own, only to realize you needed God's guidance? Trusting God means letting go and believing He's in control. It's letting go of our need to understand everything and placing our faith in the One who holds the universe in His hands. But what about those moments when it feels like God is doing nothing? When our prayers seem unanswered, and silence is all we hear? These are the moments that truly test our faith. Think about it this way. There was a man who lost everything: his job, his home, and even some of his closest relationships. He felt abandoned and broken. One night, he fell to his knees and prayed, "God, I don't know what to do. I can't fix this. But I trust you." Weeks turned into months, and while his situation didn't change immediately, something began to shift in his heart. He found peace, even in his pain. Opportunities he never expected started to come his way. Looking back, he realized that God used his struggle to redirect his life to something far greater than he had planned. That's the power of trusting God, even when it feels like He is doing nothing. The challenges of trusting God you have to know. Let's be honest, trusting God doesn't mean life will be free of challenges. There will still be storms. There will be moments when you feel like giving up. Even Jesus' disciples, who walked beside Him, faced fear and doubt when storms arose on the Sea of Galilee. But what did Jesus say? "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" Mark 4 verse 40. But what about those moments when it feels like God is doing nothing? Trusting God means choosing faith over fear, even in the darkest moments. It's saying, "God, I don't understand this right now, but I believe you are with me." Sometimes, what looks like silence is actually God working behind the scenes, preparing something greater than we could imagine. You have to believe God for the impossible. Now, let's talk about believing God for the impossible. Have you ever faced a situation that felt utterly hopeless? A dream that seemed too big? A mountain that looked unmovable? It's in these moments that God calls us to believe in His limitless power. Ephesians 3 verse 20 says, "Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us." Believing God for the impossible is not about our strength or resources. It's about His. It's about taking that leap of faith, even when the odds are stacked against you. Think about the story of Abraham. He was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, even though he and Sarah were old and childless. It seemed impossible. But Romans 4 verse 20 tells us, he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God. Believing God for the impossible means trusting that He is faithful to fulfill His promises, no matter how unlikely they seem. It means stepping out in faith, even when you can't see the whole picture. How to build trust in God. So, how do we trust God when it's hard? Here are a few steps. Pray constantly. Pour out your heart to God. He hears you, and He cares. Prayer isn't about saying the perfect words. It's about having an honest conversation with your Creator. Read His Word. The Bible is filled with stories of people who trusted God in the most difficult circumstances, and how He was faithful every time. Let His promises strengthen your faith. Surround yourself with a faith community. Share your struggles with others who can encourage you and pray for you. Reflect on His past faithfulness. Look back on times when God brought you through challenges. If He did it before, He can do it again. Here are the reward of trusting God. When you trust God, you'll experience a peace that surpasses all understanding. Philippians 4 verses 6 to 7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." You may not always get the answer you're hoping for, but you'll find the strength to endure, the wisdom to navigate challenges, and the joy of knowing you are never alone. Even when it feels like God is silent, His love for you never fades, and His plans for you remain good. Whatever you're facing today, remember this: God sees you. He knows your pain, your fears, and your doubts. And He's inviting you to trust Him. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Place your trust in the one who loves you unconditionally and has a perfect plan for your life. Heaven is cooking for you. Have you ever wondered what love tastes like? Not the fleeting love of this world, but the purest, most divine form of love, the kind that soothes your soul, warms your heart, and leaves you feeling whole. Imagine for a moment, heaven is cooking for you. In this heavenly kitchen, every dish is a masterpiece. Each ingredient is handpicked by the Creator Himself, filled with intention and purpose. Joy is the first ingredient, a vibrant and golden spice. It sprinkles over everything, bringing light to even the darkest corners of your soul. Next comes peace. It's not just any peace, it's the peace that surpasses all understanding. It flows like a gentle river, calming every storm within you. And then there's love. Love is the heart of every recipe. It's unconditional, infinite, and unshakable. Heaven's love is a love that never fails. It nourishes your spirit and heals your wounds. When heaven cooks for you, the table is always abundant. The feast is not just for the body, but for the soul. It's an invitation to sit, rest, and be filled. This divine meal is not earned by effort or merit. It's freely given, a gift from the one who knows your heart, your struggles, your fears. Through His Word, He feeds us with wisdom and truth. Every verse is a morsel of hope, every promise a sip of eternal joy. When heaven cooks for you, you are reminded that you are deeply loved, fully known, and never alone. But there's more. Heaven's feast is not just for you alone. It's meant to be shared. When you've been fed by heaven, you are called to serve others, to offer them a taste of that divine love. So, the next time life feels overwhelming, remember, heaven is cooking for you. A table has been prepared. The feast is ready. All you need to do is come, sit, and receive. God's timing is always exact. Have you ever felt like life isn't moving at the pace you hoped for? Like your prayers are unanswered, your plans are delayed, or your dreams are slipping further away? In those moments of waiting, it's easy to feel frustrated, discouraged, or even abandoned. But let me remind you today, God's timing is always perfect. Yes, it may not align with your timeline, but His plans are far greater than we can imagine. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 tells us, "To everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." This verse reassures us that God orchestrates every detail of our lives according to His divine plan. Think about it. When a farmer plants seeds, they don't harvest the next day. They wait. They trust the process. They believe that in due time, the seeds will sprout and bear fruit. Just like the farmer, we must trust God's process. Sometimes, God delays things not to punish us but to prepare us. He knows what we need, when we need it, and how much we can handle. Have you ever prayed for something and later realized that if it had happened earlier, you wouldn't have been ready for it? Let me share a story. There was a young man who dreamed of getting a scholarship to study abroad. Year after year, he applied and faced rejection. He questioned God. Why was he being denied this opportunity? But he didn't give up. He kept praying, kept working, and kept believing. Finally, after years of waiting, he got the scholarship. And when he arrived, he discovered that the delay had allowed him to mature, to gain the skills and resilience he needed to excel in his new environment. God's delay was not a denial. It was preparation. Remember, delay is not denial. The waiting period is often where God does His deepest work in us. It's where He builds our character, strengthens our faith, and draws us closer to Him. Romans 8 verse 28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Whatever you are going through right now, trust that God is working behind the scenes for your good. But what should we do while we wait? First, stay faithful. Keep doing what God has called you to do, even if you don't see immediate results. Second, stay prayerful. Pour out your heart to God and listen for His guidance. And third, stay hopeful. Believe that God's promises will come to pass in His perfect time. God's timing is not just about when things happen, it's about how they happen. He aligns events, people, and circumstances in ways we could never orchestrate on our own. So today, if you're in a season of waiting, don't lose heart. Trust the one who holds time in His hands. He is never early, never late, but always on time. God's timing is always perfect. Whatever you're facing today, remember this: God sees you. He knows your struggles and your pain, and He's working everything out for your good. Trusting God doesn't mean you'll always understand His plan, but it means believing in His perfect love and timing. If this message encouraged you, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more inspiring content, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Let's keep trusting, keep believing, and keep growing in faith. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.